Invited.
I wasn't invited to the party.
Yeah, there you go.
You voided.
Yeah, avoided, invited, invite, whatever.
I said invited.
I'm resident
You
of
voided a
code.
Vicodin.
Yeah, I'm resident of code for YouTube. I think I have Vicodin somewhere. Uh, I'm Jill Sands. That's my buddy Patrick McCray. That's my buddy Alam Gallant. That's my buddy Daniel Culver. We're here to talk the party. 1968 movie, baby, directed by Blake Edwards, screenplay by Blake Edwards. Also Tom Weldman, Frank Weldman, story by
Those
Blake
guys wrote all
Edwards.
sorts of stuff with Blake.
Yeah, produced by Blake Edwards. Peter Sellers is in this. Claudine Longet.
Lingerie.
Sorry.
That's in lingerie.
Yeah, you're wearing some right now.
I got lingerie all day, baby.
Ooh,
Production company, the American Corporation. I can't keep a straight face anymore. Music by Henry Mancini.
Oh yeah.
Edited by Ralphie Winters. And by the way, this movie was released back in April 4th, 1968, distributed by United Artists. Its budget was only $1.5 million. It grossed, its box office was $2.9 million, so it definitely made its money back.
Doubled its budget.
I do have an opening question for everybody. We'll start with Alan.
Oh, God, yes.
First, when do you guys know if Peter Sellers and Blake Edwards ever did Peter Sellers ever say, "Hey, I have a suggestion for the script"? Did he ever do that?
I don't know.
Suggestions for the script? No. A lot of very strong feelings of how he wanted scenes to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Blake Edwards had very strong feelings about how he wanted scenes to go. And they eventually had a blow up. I don't know on what movie, but they stopped working together for about 5 or 6 years. And both of them were on pretty hard financial times, I think, for various things.
Mm-hmm. Did Edwards
and so,
or was that a different?
I don't think so.
Because he was Sellers was extremely difficult on that set.
Yeah, it was difficult on a number of sets.
Yeah.
And so they stopped working together for a while. And when they got back, things remained tense to the point that they would communicate with each other by notes given to assistants.
Yeah, I think Edwards' faith in his unerring faith in Sellers had been irreparably damaged at some point. Because,
I would be curious to know what the thing was.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was a temper tantrum or something. Peter Sellers is a very troubled man. He's very immature. To put it mildly.
Particularly cruel to the women on the set too. Particularly if they were his wife or fiance.
Not a man to be married to.
Oh, no. Crazy.
What's you guys' favorite written Blake Edwards story?
Blake Edwards story?
Yeah, or movie, like story that became a movie.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. My favorite Blake Edwards movie?
Yeah.
Wow. He's a guy with just enough variety that it can be a little tough to narrow it down to one. I would say that of this era, A Shot in the Dark is his masterpiece.
Yeah.
And Bill Blatty can be thanked for that, for the screenplay, which is a fantastic screenplay. I would say after that, the Pink Panther movie where Herbert Lom becomes the sort of this Bond villain is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But Edwards had this cycle of movies in the 80s that was unbelievable. And it included, within, I think, a year, S.O.B., Victor Victoria, and then a couple of years later, there are two other films, one called That's Life, which is a very underrated film with Jack Lemmon and Julie Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
Very prescient about Julie Andrews, too, and her voice. Eerily prescient. And one other film which is a little controversial now, but I think it's a great movie on a number of levels, and it's called The Man Who Loved Women with Burt Reynolds. And it's one of Burt's better performances because he has the beard.
Yeah, has the beard.
It's the Burt beard rule.
Yeah. Alan, favorite Blake Edwards movie?
It's Shot in the Dark. There's no doubt about it
Well.
for me. Now, again, there can be some other pretty close competitors to that, and I think Patrick's mentioned a couple of them, and it is from that second phase of his career.
Really good.
Victoria is brilliant.
Yeah,
So B is underrated.
Yeah,
for sure. So yeah.
Daniel,
I mean, I like it when Blake gets good and pissed off.
Yeah.
He makes a hell of a movie when he's pissed off.
Yeah. Yeah. His sense of satire is just, it's like a scalpel, you know. It slashes and then you don't realize it until a little while later, and then all of a sudden it stings. You know, if you're the target of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not
a road trip.
Okay.
I was just going to say a road trip with Billy Wilder, and Blake Edwards would either be the best thing that ever happened or the worst 6 hours of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know which.
Flip a coin, baby. You take a risk.
Yeah.
I was just saying, like, you have to do some more research. Like, I don't know if I've seen any movies he was in, you know.
Yeah.
Well, he was a director.
Yeah, he was the director.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the director and sometime writer.
Yeah,
As
Blake
well.
Edwards.
Yeah.
The first Blake Edwards movie I saw was Pink Panther, and I was blown away. But Victoria does it for me. I mean, it's so different than anything he does. It's complete, and the fact that you get James Garner to be tough guy and funny is hilarious.
Well, you know, Blake was a guy who could do a very theatrical sense of camp.
Yeah.
And yet he gave it a straight sensibility.
Mm-hmm.
Because normally, you know, camp really veers into a queer sensibility, and it is rare that it becomes the province of a very undeniably straight eye. And you know, male gaze and all. And I would say that there were three masters of it: Blake Edwards, Russ Meyer, and Busby Berkeley.
Yeah.
Really, really, really had that interesting fusion of sensibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what did you guys think of the opening of this movie, Alan?
Well, I mean, the whole movie it's sort of an improvisational feast. So with a movie like this, it opens up. First time you see it, you're not quite sure what you're looking at to begin with. I will say that it establishes the time and place very well. It's very much dated, but in a good way. I love the period in which it is, which is kind of mid-60s, a little bit past mid-60s, where everybody's getting groovy and mod, and it's trickling down to the middle class, not just the beatniks and the hippies and the mod
culture,
right? And so you're getting middle-aged people who are like trying to be cool and wearing Nehru suits and doing all this sort of thing. And this party is really, it has a lot of that flavor to it, and it's
a lot
funny.
of Joan Bennett, Jennings Lang kind of era.
Yes, it's so you get hilarity ensues with inappropriateness and also with misapprehension, I guess, which goes on a lot in this movie, and it's funny, or it's uncomfortable and then it's funny, or it's like, I recognize that, and then it's funny, you know, that kind of.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, but the improvisational quality of it is I love it. It's established pretty quick. I don't know how well received this movie was when it first came out, but I consider it a real kind of hallmark of that period between 65 and 67, somewhere in there. I guess it came out in 67.
68.
68, okay.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like it's right in there in terms of the way that, suburbia starts getting involved, and people are becoming swingers on various levels, because it's all, there's free love, and there's this, and there's dope, and there's all this stuff going on. And the thing that's really also interesting about this movie is it's the establishment of the other, because Peter Sellers' character is the other. I mean, he is definitely the other. Although there are a lot of other others in this movie, they might not realize it, but they're there. But he is the central other character, wandering around, from room to room, from situation to situation. And some of the situations he's misapprehended as somebody who knows what's going on, and blah, blah, blah. In other situations, he has absolutely no idea what's going on. It's interesting, all of that sort of reactive quality, observational quality that's happening, and the audience gets to be in on all of it. So that's a lot of fun.
Patrick, what did you think of the opening of this movie?
It's great. And it's Barry Gunga Den, which is a movie I want you to see because you like it.
Daniel, what did you think of the opening of this movie?
I thought it was good, Like, I like how he he pissed off the director,
I really enjoyed this movie's sound because it takes really great advantage of it in a fun way, where this movie makes you feel like you're at a party, not just visually, but sound-wise, because you have so many people talking, and the way they do it makes sense. You hear them as Peter Sellers' characters walking around the room. And I love that because for all the fun comedy in this movie, you have a sense of realism with somebody going around the room, hearing conversations.
That is a stylistic move that Robert Altman would pick up and run with, because Robert Altman was the king of that, the king of these overlapping conversations that you kind of move in and out of.
Yeah.
And so if you like that, I would really recommend two Altman movies to you. One is Nashville.
Yeah.
One of the best movies of the 70s. Good Keith Carradine movie. And the other is called A Wedding.
Okay.
Which is really interesting. You'd like A Wedding a lot.
Yeah, that's a movie that not a lot of people reference to anymore either. People more
I'm your guy.
Reference Nashville.
Yeah. No, I saw A Wedding in the theaters.
Yeah,
I was just
great.
a wee shaver. I really liked it.
Good cast.
Yeah.
And the vignette scenarios, the various people. It's great. It's classic Altman in structure and everything.
Really good cast.
Yeah.
Now they do. I believe the inside of the house. It's a set, right? Am I wrong? Or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. This is a massive soundstage movie.
No, they
and
do.
I would say that set is really the co-star of the movie.
It is. They do an on thing location. They have a shot of the house, and I love how they near the end they transition from outside the house to back in it, and you still see all the suds.
Yeah,
that's a great move.
It's a fantastic set. My hope is that, and I would love to read an article on how they shot this movie. My hope is that the set was built like one of the Enterprise bridges, in that it had sort of segments that were wild and could be pulled out, so they could get the cameras in. I really don't know. I mean, Edwards had a lot of pull in Hollywood, and that was not a small budget at the time. It was not at all. And so he, I think he could have pretty much gotten what he wanted in terms of the scenic design. And and there are lots of interesting details that they do very little with, but when they do something, it's worth it. For instance, the bird cage.
Yes.
The core of the house is this massive bird cage, and we just sort of get it for the Birdie Num Num routine, but there's a lot more to it than that. Now, I think, the nowadays when the movie is discussed, thank you, presentism,
Yes.
that has to get discussed is this an immoral movie? Because there are certain people who are very offended by it.
Right.
And they use terms like brown face and so on and so forth,
Mhm.
which gets us into a couple of different discussions. One is it ever okay for someone at a higher level in a social power structure to, imitate, especially in a comedy, imitate someone of a more disadvantaged position in that hierarchy? And God knows it's not my job to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't be offended by.
Well, there's
I
something
can't
to offend everyone
possibly
in
make
this
that
movie.
call.
There's something to offend
Pardon?
I said there's something to offend everyone in this movie.
Well, there is. I mean, the Indian nature. Um, I, I'm not an expert, but I do not feel as if anything in Sellers was a very careful student of dialect
Yes.
and a language,
It's not
and
pigeoned. Yeah, it's not pigeoned.
it's not.
No.
It's not. It seems to be everything about that seems to be more civilized. And the thing that I think is most endearing is that if a movie is going to feature someone of one culture playing someone of another culture, I have rarely seen a more dignified and respectful and kind and resourceful and intelligent character rendered. That Harundi Bakshi is no uh, 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 Inspector Clouseau.
Right. No, it's an underplayed role. He's playing very subtle, very he's just responding to things.
Yeah.
And
Clouseau is unaware of
right.
everything that's going on around him. Bakshi is hyper aware
Right.
of everything that's going on, and his whatever the quote unquote cliched elements of his Indianness are, or the trademark qualities. Well, gosh, he's patient, he's kind, he's polite, he's a very keen listener,
Mhm.
he's kind, he's sensitive, he's intelligent, he's patient. And if my culture is going to be included in something in a comedic role, my God, let it have those things. There's
Right.
nothing in the portrayal of Bakshi where you can go, well, there's an Indian for you.
Right.
That's
Exactly. No
no,
stereotypical stuff. Right.
and certainly nothing negative. If
Yeah.
anything, his conciliatory nature, that might be exaggerated, all of that.
Sure.
That's about the closest that you would come. But of course, remember at the time, there were a few things cooler than India at this point.
That's right.
Thanks to
The
the
Beatles and
Beatles.
all of that stuff. Yep. And the Maharishi.
Mhm.
Yep. Absolutely.
Daniel, what do you think?
What was the topic? The question again?
Oh,
I don't know if there was.
Been a while.
Peter Sellers plays Bocce, who is from India, obviously. So he obviously had to have brown face on. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I could see that being offensive. I actually didn't even know that it was brown face until Patrick mentioned it. But yeah,
Well, what a compliment to Peter Sellers.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. That's the thing too. Like, I could understand why it's offensive, but see, the thing is, this came out in the '60s. That wasn't as looked down upon as it is now. But like Patrick said, like they weren't really dissing like Indian culture. Like, there was even a part where he actually defended like when that lady painted the elephant wrong, he was actually saying that was disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So in a way, you could say like it's at least it was intended to be pro Indian culture.
Yeah, at the time, this is where presentism is kind of a double-edged sword, because at the time, I do think the idea of, oh, look, he's taking an elephant being painted seriously, was maybe the butt of a joke.
Yeah.
Now it's one of his more respectable qualities.
Right. It's more reflective of the way they treat the character. throughout. So yeah.
Boy, I hadn't thought of that.
That's true. And
But
actually,
yeah, you're
no,
quite
okay.
right.
And actually, I was looking up like Blake Edwards movies. And yeah, one I noticed is Breakfast at Tiffany's. And for those that don't know, that actually has yellow face, but which was Mickey Rooney. But see, that
that's
was
an embarrassing performance, even at the standards of the times.
And that is a good performance to put against this one in sort of measuring the racism of a portrayal, because I mean that's
Even in
wow.
'62, that was an embarrassing performance. I'm sorry for a lot.
Yeah,
of
that's true.
people.
And see, that one's a
And
little more offensive.
there were plenty of fine Asian actors working in
Absolutely.
Hollywood at the time. Benson Fong, I mean, he's not Japanese, but Benson Fong comes to mind as one of the,
Kai
one of the
Luke
principal.
was still
Yes.
very active in the '60s.
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe it was Blake Edwards then, because I think someone that was involved making with it said they regretted not casting an actual Asian person. Yeah.
Yeah.
As Bakshi
No, as Breakfast
in this
at
movie, or
Tiffany's.
just in
Oh, the character Mickey Rooney played.
Oh, Breakfast.
Oh, yeah, that's what we're talking about. There were plenty of good Asian actors they could have gotten.
Yeah, absolutely.
But see, that was also like, they also like made him like a stereotypical Japanese man too. So that doesn't help with that either.
Oh yeah, I mean it was ridiculous. I mean they put buck teeth in his mouth and round glasses, the whole 9 yards. It was very stereotypical. You're right, absolutely, Daniel.
Yeah. I think with this performance here, with Peter Sellers' performance of the Indian man, you guys talked about the differences between Clouseau and his character.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that throughout his character, the comedy is more happening around him, and he's aware of some of these situations, and he comments on them, and it's so really well done. I think Sellers, you guys are right. He's just a very well trained student, and he does a really great job of playing his character. That's the one thing great about this party. You're hearing the conversations as Sellers' character. You're not him, but you're hearing all these things. And then when they bring the elephant in, he's like, well, why'd you paint that? Like that's offensive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then they put the elephant in the pool.
Speaking of stereotypes and exaggeration, one of the first people Sellers meets is a hugely exaggerated, national/ethnic stereotype, and that's Wild Bill Kelso. But both of them are the kindest characters in the movie.
Right.
And Kelso's immediately just thrilled with this guy, even though he's kind of, blocking him. It doesn't matter when Kelso sees him again.
Yeah. That's huge kick.
The pool cue at the beginning of that gag always gets me.
Yeah, where he's standing behind.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it's such a in the hands of a lesser, a bunch of actors that would be so like standard and blasé gag, But if you put it in the hands of masters, you can make something.
Because they do so little with it.
Right.
They just nimbly hops over it, and you're not even sure you saw it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the great things about this movie. People don't yuck it up in this movie. It's not that kind of comedy, It's a comedy of these. It's situation comedy in a lot of ways, but it's also a comedy of character. All these different characters that show up at this place.
Yes. It's a hell of an ensemble.
In this movie, I think that several people, but in particular Sellers, out Meisner's Meisner. He really is listening. He's really present. He's doing that. So.
And I gotta say, for me, one of the biggest laughs in the movie is when he finally gets to the bathroom, and just this beatific look that spreads across his face is so identifiable.
I also think that it's an interesting thing in terms of him playing somebody of a different ethnicity. Is he kind of gets the girl at the end there?
They definitely does.
And the girl is a pretty white girl. You know, she's this pretty little thing, French girl.
She's more than white. She's French.
That's right. It's true.
Little information for you guys. The film's interiors were shot on a set at the MGM lot. Through this may be a mistake, as IMDb lists the Samuel Golden Studios on Formosa as a correct address, likely as the other Mercish productions, including West Side Story, were shot there as well. The original script was only 63 pages in length. Edwards later said
improvisation.
It was a shorter script. It was the shortest script he ever shot from, and that the majority of the content in the film was improvised on set.
There's 100 pages worth of stuff in this film.
Yeah.
Imagine what wound up on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
There's
150 pages worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that was on the MGM lot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam Goldwyn Studios would have been considered part of MGM, so that's probably where it's not the main. The MGM Studios is a main studio, but the Goldwyn Studios would have been considered part of that too.
Yeah.
The film started shooting in May of '67 under the title RSVP and lasted 12 weeks over the summer of 1967. Edwards and Sellers had initially attempted to film part of it as a modern silent picture with subtitles, but Sellers soon found a need to speak and developed the character of Harundu the Bashi.
Harundi?
Yeah, Harundi, sorry.
Yeah, I can understand why he felt the need to speak, because he felt confident that he had mastered the dialect.
Yeah.
I think, probably.
A name he came up with on the spot, by the way. Several cast and crew members described the production as the most enjoyable of their career, with Denny Miller describing it as heaven, stating that they knew it was something special when cast and crew, not even involved with the shooting of certain scenes, would stick around just to watch the film.
Yeah. Well, with that much improvisation, you have to have a safe space kind of set. You've got to have a lot of cooperation. You've got to have people that are interested in each other's performances and cheering for each other to do well. Otherwise, the improv will not work, because somebody will not be accepting the offer. So it makes sense to me. I mean, yes, I suppose you could work improv under duress, but God, what a hell that would be,
Let's see. What's you guys' I think Patrick named his favorite scene. Alan, what's yours?
Oh, I always liked Birdie Dum Dum, because it was the first thing that burned into my brain the first time I saw it years ago, back in the 70s.
Yeah. Daniel, what's yours, man?
Yeah, I'm gonna say when he lost his shoe,
So much gets made of that shoe.
Yeah.
Really climaxing with, well, I'm on a diet, but what the hell? The great bamboo sling where it knocks one guy in the head, he just keeps going and winds up on the tray of the other guy. It's so good.
I agree.
The guy waking up and like, I remember who that guy is now. Like, what the fuck? After all this time. Oh my God. And it's happening at the most chaotic moment. Shit's gonna has already hit the fan, and more's to come.
And isn't Charles Napier is in this film too? He's the football player or something. Yeah. And yes, I believe it. I'm pretty sure that's who that was. The same guy that played the hippie on Star Trek, and of course had.
I know who Charles Napier is.
Yeah.
I didn't know he's in this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. Unless it's a guy that I'm thinking of, is like, it might be the other guy that played a lot of Charles Napier type roles, and I might be completely. Let me double check, because
if Cisco had been white, Charles Napier would have been the perfect actor to play him.
Yeah.
I would have been amazing.
Oh, it was
And
Denny. I'm sorry, it was Denny Miller, bodybuilder.
there's Denny Miller. Yeah, he's
Denny
Wild
Miller.
Bill Kelso.
Yeah.
But he looks a lot like Charles Napier. Yeah, I would have gotten, and you know who I would have gotten to play Cisco's dad in that case? Jack Palance.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would have been great.
Vin Scully is uncredited and does not appear on screen, but his voice can be heard announcing a Los Angeles Dodgers game. So.
Which he did for about 65 years.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Started in Brooklyn, for God's sake. Unbelievable career.
Yeah.
After excuse gushing about Vin Scully, I'm a baseball fan from way back, so
Yeah.
it's one of the best.
Let's see.
Raleigh Fingers.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Bob Uecker, may he rest in peace. Yeah.
Yes, also a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Uecker was a very funny man.
I remember Andre the Giant putting his hands around his neck and just running. It was funny. He sold his ass off.
He was a way better comic raconteur than he ever was a baseball player, and he'd be the first one to tell you.
He was great on Mr. Belvedere.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Fun to watch too. Always entertaining. Whether you listen to him on baseball, whether you watched him Major League, and especially Mr. Belvedere. Yeah, I remember that. Let's see. I give this movie a 9 out of 10. What do you guys give it?
I give it a 10.
10.
I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
I just love the period for one thing. It is so indicative of the period.
I had a suggestion.
Setting, but the style of the writing, the improvisation type, it's just, it's great. I love it.
I had a suggestion for a follow-up movie to this for us to talk about. And it's a terrible movie, and it's one of my absolute favorites. I really mean it. That's a hill I'll happily just dig my own hole to die on, and that's Casino Royale.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
the real one.
Yeah.
Casino Royale, 1967.
Yeah.
Is that streaming anywhere?
Movie, but it's so much fun.
It really is, and just the story behind it, and trying to figure out who directed what.
Yeah,
and that's got Peter Sellers.
Yes, it's got a big cast, actually. Ursula Andress is in it. Woody Allen is in it playing Blofeld. I mean, come on. It's just insane.
It is this period at its most excessive, and how many fantastically so.
And Woody Allen also plays Bond, doesn't he? A version of Bond in this movie.
Well, okay, so there is no Blofeld. There is just Jimmy Bond.
Jimmy Bond, that's right. But he dresses as Blofeld for part.
He dresses as Blofeld. Yeah. Good God, Emily's boy. I have the movie memorized. I cherish it.
I absolutely adore the soundtrack to it too. I know he constituted it several times, but
interesting thing. If you can find an LP of it,
I have it.
And you have a good LP system.
Mm-hmm.
It was considered among audiophiles for decades to be the most perfectly engineered stereo
balance, and
test, and just its clarity and everything else. It was the ultimate. And
they did it 8-track, I think, because that would have been early 8-track at that point in time. So yeah, it is. It's a great album. Cold Gems Records. It was one of the. There weren't a lot of artists on Cold Gems. The Monkees were their big carrier, but
that fits. There is such a Monkees aspect. I mean, if I were going to do a double feature of this era, it would be Casino Royale and Head.
Head is one of those movies that was completely trashed when it was first put out there because people didn't get it.
Got it.
But I
love that
movie. A lot more love.
Yeah. I bought a big Criterion box set full of movies I didn't want.
Right.
So that I would have the DVD of Head.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Because it's been much more appreciated in recent years.
As well it should be.
Yes.
And I had an aunt that used to sleep with Victor Mature.
Oh, no kidding.
No kidding. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because she was from Louisville, and she used to brag about she was ancient and weird, and
Of
and so to
course.
hear her toothlessly go on about I used to have relations with Victor Mature.
Ooh, yeah.
Wow, that was a weird one.
I bet every time she said it, if Victor was still alive, he was going, "What? Who's
And Victor
talking about
Victor
me?"
lived a long time.
He did actually. He lived well into the. I think he might have lived into the 90s.
I think he lived into the 1990s. Yeah,
I'll check that
yeah.
out too. But yeah, I always liked him, and I liked the fact that he could self-parody himself occasionally.
Oh,
It's just
he was so good at it.
oh my God, he almost lived to 2000, August 4th, 1999. He was 86. Yeah, he was born in 1913. So yeah, he was 86.
Wonder where he was buried. I wonder if he was buried in Louisville.
I don't know. He died in Rancho Santa Fe in California.
Okay, so he didn't. No, they wouldn't have
Probably
filmed
got buried in one of those Nope, he's in St. Michael's in Louisville.
Yeah, which is where? In Louisville?
In Louisville. St. Michael's
Wow,
Cemetery.
good Catholic boy.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
Catholic Cemetery.
Yeah.
Or in
I'll have to go visit that.
Yep.
Man, Victor Mature.
He was.
You know what movie I'd play with Casino Royale, the 1967 movie, and I know it's, but Dr. Goldfoot and the Bikini Machine. I mean,
I love that movie.
Another
That's
great,
hilarious,
companion.
hilariously tacky movie.
Yeah,
I love it. It's like,
well,
I mean, they tried to cram they tried to cram a sci-fi satire into a beach blanket movie, and they did it.
And when we reviewed that on here,
yes,
when I watched it, I'm thinking, and I'm seeing the opening, I'm thinking, man, The Naked Gun had to get some inspiration from this movie. But
so much silliness in it. I'm sure a lot of movies did that came after. That was like the first or second movie that I reviewed with you guys.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Doctor.
Yeah. They yeah, it's a good movie.
It's funny. It's a lot of fun.
Casino Royale is a great movie too, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Again, it's when we call them bad movies, it's with quotation marks.
Yeah,
there's quite a good deal of redeeming value in them.
I love it. I really love that movie.
You know what movie we need to review for fun, just for pure fun one day? Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter is fun.
Oh yeah, maybe we should. Yeah.
That's an interesting film because I wish that Seth Grahame-Smith had written Dark Shadows.
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah.
So I saw that and I thought, well, this is the tone. If you had just done that, it still wouldn't have been a great movie, but it wouldn't have been that bad.
Would have been better.
Yeah.
And it would have been fully committed to what it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah, it's like, because I think that movie came out after Dark Shadows. It's like he learned from his mistake.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
And it was also based on the work that he had done in the book. So he had more structure to it, I think, already.
Casino Royale Sunday night, guys. Is that good?
That's on me.
Okay, because Friday, Valentine's Day. Saturday, I got a Dark Shadows video. So I'll see you guys Sunday night. Is there anything you guys want to add about the movie?
It's terrific.
It's terrific.
Oh, I have. It's a tour de force for Henry Mancini.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Actually, coincidentally, like Saturday's my birthday, but I think I can still make it.
Happy birthday! Well,
happy birthday, sir.
Happy birthday! But yeah, Sunday is our. Yeah.
Okay.
Sunday we're doing Casino Royale, but happy birthday to Daniel Culver in advance. Link to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Day Book Unbound is going to be in the description box. Link to Alan Gallant's YouTube channel, Colin Support After Dark is going to be.
Someday I'll do a new one.
Yeah. Sunday.
Been very busy boy.
Link to Daniel Culver's YouTube channel, Killenberg, is going to be in the description box. So you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you Sunday.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.